to my channel, Jamie Fran Colors, and today I gotta get back to work. So the last weekend, I always have some stuff pre-filmed, so it never really affects the channel, but I don't know, I was just having a really hard time. My kids were off for 4 days, and I started my period on the same day that they were starting their vacation, and my husband was working 12-hour shifts, and I was getting text messages and phone calls about how sick my grandpa was in St. George, and that's like 4 or 5 hours away, and I couldn't go see him, and it was just really, I don't know, I got really depressed, and for 4 days, for the whole weekend, I didn't do anything. Like, did I even get dressed? Like, I don't remember. Like, I did the minimum to keep my children alive, and I just like buried myself in a hole and didn't do anything. So, I don't know. I took that time, I guess. And now it's time to get back to work and to kind of pull myself up out of that hole in that depression. I mean, it happens. Depression runs in my family. I'm on medication for anxiety, so I know that it's there, and I have to take care of it, and I can't just fall into a hole and not come back out. And so today I've got to, come back out and do something. And anyways, so that's what I'm doing. Getting back to it. What am I doing? Okay, so I just reviewed, meaning the last video I did was reviewing the Arteza colored pencils, and I love them so much that I gave them a coveted place in a beautiful case. I will link it down below. So here they are, and I made a color chart for them so that I can see what they all are. That's upside down. So I can see what they all are, what they all look like. So when I'm looking for something, I can glance there. With my Prismacolors, I know them so well that I know what color I want and I can just grab for it. With a new pencil set, or one that I don't use very often, I love having a color chart so that I can just look at that and go, okay, I'm looking for this color. I'm looking, I need a really cool blue. What's going to be my best option, or I need a really warm blue. What's going to be my best option? So I can just look at the color chart, and it's just better until I get to know the pencils better. Alright, so today I thought we would use them, and I picked a coloring book I haven't colored in for a while. I haven't really colored a Jasmine Beckett Griffith coloring page for a while. They're like, what, a couple years ago, I colored a ton of her pictures. Like, her first book, the fantasy book, like, it's just demolished because it's been taken apart, and I've colored so many of them and put them in binders, and it's just a falling apart mess. So I love coloring her pages, but I just haven't done it. So I thought we would grab the mermaid book, and this is the page that I have decided to color in it. So I thought we would look at this and color with the Arteza pencils and just have some fun, enjoy it. So yeah, I think today we're gonna do mostly her skin tone and her hair. And yeah, it's with her, just so you know, with her pictures, I always really like the foreground and the girl and stuff, and I never really like the background, and so a lot of times I will just black out the background and really have the girl and the subject pop. And so, I mean, that's probably what's going to end up happening, just so you're aware. If you're here for a background, I'm not going to do it. So, yeah, let me pick colors, and we'll get started with her skin tone. Okay, I picked some colors, and I was looking at my picture and decided I didn't want to color the whole thing. So I chopped off her body because I didn't want to do it. So now my picture looks like this. I think she's great. I think it'll be perfect. So don't want that part, just cut it off. Who cares? Hang on. Okay, there we go. So, it's your coloring book. You decide what you want to color. I've picked some colors here for her skin. I'm going to start with Peaches and Cream, which is number 22. And I am going to put a light base coat all over her skin of this color. So I'm just going to do like long circular motions, light pressure, and just fill in the paper with this beautiful color of Peaches and Cream. Just lightly putting this color in. It'll take a minute, you know? Just enjoy it, relax. Let the stresses of the day go. I find coloring and art in general very therapeutic, and it just helps me to like turn off my brain and relax and rejuvenate from the days. And it's just nice. It's just something for just me, and I don't know. It's just therapeutic. So I said at the beginning of this video that my grandpa had been sick, so I'll tell you a little bit about my grandpa. So my grandpa, when I was really little, he lived just in the town next to ours, and I don't know, he's always been a little bit different. He is an engineer, and he's very quiet and a little bit hard to talk to. He doesn't do well with a lot of people around. But he had 6 kids with my grandma, and I don't think he handled it very well. And anyways, when my mom was a teenager, the marriage went south and they got divorced. And I don't know, I don't know, I wasn't there. I didn't grow up in his home. But I know there were hard feelings and anyway. So not everybody in the family has a great positive opinion of him, but to me, he's always been really good to me. And when I was about 5, he moved to St. George, which was about 6 hours away from where I lived. And so when he left, I remember he came over and told us he was moving, and he'd always wanted that. He'd always wanted to retire to St. George. It's warmer there, and he'd always wanted to do that. And when, I don't know, I think my mom was like 16 or 17, he got remarried. So him and his wife were moving to St. George. And I've always known her as my grandma because, you know, I've never known him without her. So they were moving, and he came over and told us, and he brought me this dog, this stuffed animal. And that stuffed animal it's like, he's sitting right here next to me, like right now. He's always been there. Like I said, I was like 5 years old when he gave him to me. And this dog has gone everywhere with me. Like, he would go to girls' camp. He would go, he went to college. He's now here with me I'm almost 34, and my 3 little boys and my husband. And he's just here. He's still kicking around, and I don't know, he's special. So when I was about 5 as well, I started taking piano lessons, and it was important to my parents that we all learn the basics of music. And so we were to take piano lessons from the time like we started elementary school or started to read until till the end of elementary school. So like about 5th grade for us, because of the way our schools are set up. And my parents really couldn't afford these music lessons, and so it was my grandpa who paid for these music lessons. I wasn't great at the piano. I didn't like playing it. I was compared to my uncle quite a bit, who was like a piano prodigy. And I mean, I could play, and if I had put effort into it, I would have been good, but I just didn't. And because I didn't like my teacher, and anyways, she told me I had no musical ability whatsoever. She knew the deadline of my elementary school was up. And so she basically asked me to quit, that she didn't want to teach me anymore, and that I should just quit and never do music again. But I really liked music. I just didn't like her. Anyways, I'm going to go in now with Prussian Blue, which is 142. And I'm just going to put this in like the really dark areas around the edges. So I decided, like, I wanted to take violin. I decided this, like, someone had come to our elementary school and had shown us the stringed instruments and what an orchestra was about and stuff. And I don't know, I felt really drawn to the violin. And so I wanted to take violin lessons. Of course, this was more money, and my grandpa just stepped right in and was like, yeah, I'll pay for violin lessons, no big deal. So he paid for my violin lessons all the way through high school. And I loved playing the violin. I know I went in my first day of lessons, the person who was supposed to bring me a violin didn't show up, and so my teacher like kind of told me about the violin and gave me a book and stuff about how basics work and how you hold your instrument, and you know, and I don't know, the violin just seemed very logical to me. And so when I showed up the second day for my lessons, the person who he had a violin for me. And so I took the violin and I held it properly, and I held my bow properly because I had looked at the book and everything. And the fingering on a violin, it just made complete logical sense to me. And so I just started playing songs on the violin. And the teacher was like, well, she just passed off her first year of violin lessons in a week, or in, you know, her first lesson. And so it just kind of became this thing, and I played the violin, like I said, through high school. I was in a symphony a youth symphony starting at the age of like 14, which had trips and stuff, and I had to have like concert gowns that were kind of expensive, and you know, these were things that my family couldn't afford. And so my grandpa would step in and help pay for these. Like my friend, I was talking to him about my grandpa the other day, and he said he always saw him as kind of like my patron. And he just, and is, I mean, he's, as of today when I'm filming this, he's still with us, but he was just always very kind. He loved to sing. He sang in a choir that would take trips and things, and pretty big choir. And so he's always loved music, and it was just something that we really had in common. And so when I decided to go to college, I went to college in southern Utah, about an hour away from where my grandpa lived. And of course we'd go down, you know, once a summer or something and see him, and he'd come up in Christmas time and see us. But that's only like 2 times a year, and then there wasn't FaceTime or anything like that. So when I turned 18, I moved to southern Utah. I went to college. I did get a violin scholarship. It didn't pay for everything, but it got me there. And I worked really hard, and I lived in the cheapest dorms. And I have all brothers. I don't have any sisters. I had never lived with girls before. And that was a change, and it was hard for me. I don't know. I found girls, especially of that age group, to be quite petty and I don't know, just a little mean, and I didn't like it. I had a hard time with it, and I'd have a hard time. So I would call my grandpa, and I didn't have a car. He would come and get me a lot of times on weekends, and I would go stay at their house, and I would help clean their house. They had a really nice house. And I would clean it for them while I was there. Like, I'd clean bathrooms and things, and he would pay me like spending money and stuff so that I would have money for, you know, spending money for the week. And so I was down there a lot, and I would spend a lot of time with him during this time. Like, my grandma would take me shopping and stuff, and she was great, and I love her too. But I don't know, there was just something like a connection with my grandpa. He was quiet, and you couldn't like talk a lot of stuff. Like, he's one that it's just easy to just sit with him. Just sit and talk quietly, one-on-one, or he would like to read the funnies on Sunday mornings, and so he would read the funnies and give me the brain teasers, and then we'd switch, like while we ate our breakfast. We'd just sit there, eat breakfast. We wouldn't talk to each other. We'd just switch the newspaper around. And it was just good, you know, just good and quiet and nice. And like I said, if he gets around a lot of people, he's very awkward. He has a hard time. Yes, and he'll say stuff that was like, people take the wrong way. And like I don't remember what it was. He sent, about a year ago, he sent out a letter to the family, and the way he had worded it was just, it wasn't what he meant, but I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh no, everybody's gonna take this the wrong way. It's not what he meant, you know, like, this is not good. He didn't mean it. And I like text my mom, I was like, he didn't mean it. This is what he meant. But yeah, he would let me drive his car. He had this brand new Jetta at the time, a Volkswagen Jetta, and it could go. I was impressed with it. Like, I'm driving it on the freeway in Utah, and it's like the freeway between like southern Utah and northern Utah, there's just nothing. There's like teeny tiny towns and there's just nothing but the sagebrush. And so I was driving him up north one time. I don't even, maybe it was a Christmas party or something we were going to, I don't remember. And I was driving him up north and he wanted me to drive his car so that he could sleep in the back. And my grandma was next to me, but she just, I don't know, she just never really cared much. I don't know. Anyways, so I'm driving his car and it just goes like so much easier than a car I'd ever driven before. Like I had never driven a car that new. It just went. And so I'm driving along and just not really, you know, just easy going, no big deal. I'm driving along and I look down at the speedometer and we're going 100, you know, like we're going 100 miles an hour. I'm like, there's no cars around, it's fine, but I'm like, okay. So I just like eased off the gas, because if I like slammed on the gas or like slammed on the brake or like really, I didn't want him to notice that the car was like slowing dramatically down. So I just eased off the gas and just kind of kept going and he didn't notice. So then we like he like looked up at one point, like we were in Salt Lake or something, which is the biggest city in Utah. It's still not huge, but we're in the fruit when we like get to that area and he like kind of sits up and he's like, you really shouldn't be going over 55 in this area, like, or you shouldn't really be going over 55, like it could be dangerous, you know. And I'm like thinking like the speed limit's 70, Grandpa, like I'm not gonna go 55, you know, we're gonna get run over. So, but I'm like, good thing he didn't pop up when we were going 100. And so I just kept it to the speed limit and I got us to our destination safely. And he bragged to my family about how good a driver I was. And then I let them know later. I was like, man, that car can go. We were cruising at 100. But Grandpa doesn't know that. He's just happy as a lark that I, you know, am a safe driver at 55 miles an hour on the freeway. But he's just always been awesome. And then when I changed my degree, so I went to college on violin scholarship, and when I was about a sophomore, probably the end of sophomore year, they asked me to trade and be a percussion major. Now I'd had like one semester of like half-hour percussion lessons when they asked me to change. There were no percussion majors in the department, and I don't know why they picked me, but I just had the feeling to go for it and do it. And it really didn't matter because I was getting my degree in music education, and so it wouldn't put me back any, and it really didn't matter what instrument I graduated in it, I still got the same degree. And so, and I was struggling with the violin professor, and so I was like, okay, sure, let's do it. At this time, my grandpa we'd been talking about buying a new violin because I was kind of outplaying the violin I had, and you know, if I was going to pursue this degree in violin, then I really needed a better instrument. And so I had to go to him and I was like, I am going to be a percussion major. And I didn't know how he was going to take it because he's paid for all these years of violin lessons and all this stuff, and he's planning on buying me a new violin and all this stuff. And I just remember him like looking at me and being like, oh, okay, well then how much was I gonna pay for the violin? And I was like, kind of told him, and he's like, okay, well then why don't you just take that money and buy what you need for percussion? And I was like, what? Okay, you know, like I'm not gonna say no, that's a couple $1,000s. So this is Earth Red 138 that I'm gonna, okay, so that would help. That would get me started and get me my own like mallets and things that I would need, percussion sticks and mallets and all these things that you kind of need. And so I did, and I remember he like gave me his credit card, and I'm up on his computer in the upstairs in his office, and his house was in the basement, and he had, you know, computers and stuff down there as well. At this point in his life, like he was editing, his job was like making home videos for people and editing these videos and making them look really good. Anyway, so he had like his whole setup downstairs, and I was upstairs on another one of his computers. And you know, we didn't carry around laptops at this time. So I have his credit card and I like buy what I need. I'm like going through stuff and like trying and like being really careful about what I'm spending, and I don't want to, you know, ruffle any feathers, and I don't want to seem like I'm taking anything for granted or being frivolous or anything. And so I'm really trying to be good about this, but also get what I need, you know? And so I did, and I used his credit card and stuff and did it. And then like I finish, and it's been a couple of minutes, and he like knocks on the door to the bedroom, and he's like, "Is that it? Is that all you need?" And I was like, "Well, yes." He's like, "Well, I was sitting there down there watching my money go out of my account, and that's all you need." And I'm like, "Yes." I felt so embarrassed. I was like, "Oh my gosh," just sitting down there watching me spend his money. But he was really good about it and really nice about it. And, you know, other people would be, "Oh my gosh, he's so weird, and why does he do this kind of stuff?" But to me, he was just grandpa, and he was just looking out for me, and I really appreciated it. He was always really nice. Always is. And another time later, I was living in Cedar by myself for the first time. I'd always had roommates, but this was over the summer, and I was actually living at my professor's house while he was in Maryland for the summer with his family doing like music camps and stuff. And so they wanted someone to house sit for them. And so I stayed at their house over the summer to save on rent, and took care of their house and their yard and everything, and had a job. But the job didn't pay a lot. So I bought an old car. It was a 1986 Park Avenue car, the same year I was born, from my other grandfather. And so now I have a car, and I can get around, which is good because I wasn't living on campus during the summer and stuff. So bought this car. I had it, but it was my great grandfather's car. It hadn't been maintained for a while, and the tire just it blew on this car, and I didn't have the money to fix the tire, but I needed the tire fixed so I could get to work to make the money to pay for the tire. But I can't get to work to make the money because I don't have a tire on my car. And it was just like this catch-22, and I didn't know what to do. And my parents, they just never have had the money to help us. Like, if we need it, we got to figure it out, because they live paycheck to paycheck, and you know, they do the best they can working the jobs that they can, but they're not in a position to rescue us. So I don't think I even bothered to call them. Like, I was just like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And I like work up the courage. It took me a minute because I don't like to talk on the phone, for one, and I hate asking for help, too. And then my grandpa's just a little bit awkward, number 3. So I work up the courage, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I like call my grandpa, and I'm like, "Grandpa, I have a problem. Tire blew out on my car. I can't get it fixed. I will have a paycheck on such and such a date, and then I could pay you back. So I'm hoping, you know, that you could, you know, spot me $200 to get my car fixed, and then I'll pay you back as soon as I get paid." And he's like, "Okay, yeah, that's good." So I give him my account number, and he transfers the money immediately into my account, and I go get my tire fixed, and I make it to work. So on the day that I told him I was getting paid, he calls me, and he's like, "Okay, you get paid today? Well, you need to give me the money back." I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, you know, like, no freeloading here, like, we're gonna keep you accountable." And I would appreciate that, because it was a good lesson that, you know, I've got to take care of myself and honor my commitments and stuff too. But so he's just always been there in the background of my life. And yeah, I don't know, he's a good man. He's a little bit awkward, but I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to diagnose somebody, but my son my biological son. I have 3, but my biological son, he is autistic, and I see a lot of the same like qualities of not liking to be in crowds and people not completely understanding what you're and taking everything so seriously. I don't know, like not being able to understand different nuances and like jokes and sarcasm that I see in my son, I see in my grandpa. And so maybe there's some, you know, Asperger's or something going on there, and that might be why he's a little bit more awkward and different with people. But there could be a lot of other things too. I know his childhood wasn't great, you know, and there are a lot of things there that could contribute to the lack of social I don't know. Anyways, but he's a good man and I love him, and so I was really sad when everything kind of happened this week, and I just kind of needed that time, I guess, to reflect and like be sad because I haven't seen him in quite a while, and yeah, it's just sad. So I guess what happened is he has a pacemaker, and his heart isn't great, but he fell and he was down for probably 5 hours before someone found him. His wife, my grandma, isn't in great condition either. And so, yeah, I mean, he takes care of her. And so, yeah, he fell. And because he was down for so long, like his organs started to shut down and muscles started deteriorating and stuff, and kidneys went down quite a bit. And he just had some problems. And so he was hospitalized. He's still in the hospital. And my mom was able to go down and see him over the weekend, but it was really rough because she said like he was hallucinating and not lucid, and the doctors were really concerned because he hasn't been sleeping, like he hadn't slept in 5 days, and so that could be why he was hallucinating. And they're wondering if he actually had a stroke in his brain stem, because that can cause hallucinations and other issues that he was having. And so just every day it's been like a new thing, you know, and I get a text message saying like they're putting in a feeding tube, he's never going to eat again, and he's, you know, and then you'll get a message like, oh, the doctors think he's doing better, and then you'll get another message, no, they're telling him to get his affairs in order. And so it's just a lot of back and forth, and it's just really hard to hear all this stuff. Like I want to be up to date and I want to know what's going on, you know, but it was just hard, and I just kind of went into a place of sadness and a little despair and a little depression, and you know, and maybe I needed that weekend to just reflect, you know, and that's okay as long as I don't stay there in that and try to live in that place, because that's not healthy for me or my family or my kids. And yeah, so I'm trying to do better and like get up and shower and really force myself to do A, B, and C until like I start to feel like doing those things again, you know. But I have a very strong testimony of the hereafter, and that like we're families forever, and you know, no matter what happens, if he doesn't survive this or doesn't make it, he's still my grandpa, and I'll see him again, and I'll get to talk to him again, and you know, share those little quiet times again with him. And yeah, so it'll be okay. Whatever happens, will happen. And I want him to be comfortable, and if he's not comfortable and he's, you know, he doesn't know what's going on and he's in so much pain, and then I don't want him to have to live like that either. Like, I think that's selfish for me to be like, but you need to stay because I need you, you know. If he's in that much pain and he's not comfortable and not happy, and then maybe the best thing for him to do is to go on to the next life, and the next time I see him, he'll be much more comfortable and happy, you know. And that's what we want for our loved ones. We want them to be comfortable and happy and not in pain. So anyways, okay, so that was Earth Red. I don't know. She's looking a little funny. All right, this is Salmon Pink 133. Let's add some of this. Every color I'm putting on, I'm just doing in little circular motions, light pressure, and just building up the color. I don't want to press too hard. I don't want too much color to be deposited all at once, because then I won't be able to move it around and put it where I want it. I want it to be all light touches, light pressure, and build up color where I want them to be. I'm thinking of doing her hair kind of an aqua color. Because she does have like quite a few fish in her hair, but she also has birds and butterflies. So I'm thinking kind of an aqua color for, you know, it could be sky, it could be water, to kind of go with those animals. Pictures. So we definitely won't be finishing her today. We will finish her next time, hopefully. But we're just gonna take our time and enjoy coloring her, and if that takes 3 or 4 videos, then we'll do that. We'll be okay. But just putting this color down. I like this color. It's still kind of, it's just a little bit, it's nice and warm, but not too dark. I really like it. And I really like these pencils, the way they feel as I'm coloring. They don't feel scratchy and dry. They just feel really, really nice. They're comfortable to hold. They're not too thin or too thick. I just think they're a really nice pencil. So I was excited to find them. People gave me some other, well, one more brand to try, so I'm gonna try those soon. I have to spread them out or my bank account doesn't like it, so yeah. But if you have any other suggestions of pencils that you really like, that you think I would like to try, or if you want to see a review on some that are in a good, you know, a good price range, and how do they compare to others, let me know down in the comments below. Also, if you want me to color something for you, like if there's a book you're struggling to color in, or you just want to color something, let me know that too. I've had people make suggestions before, and we do color them. Like I really do listen to your guys' suggestions, and when you suggest it, I try to give you like a date as to when I'll be able to put that up for you. So please don't hesitate to leave me an idea. I am totally open to that and happy to do that for you guys. I'm also on Instagram. I try to post daily, but it doesn't happen. But I try to post what I'm coloring or what's going on a little bit in my life. So it's either, I think you can do it either way. I think it's either Jamie Fran Colors or Jamie Fran 222, which is my birthday, February 22nd. So if you go over to Instagram and type that in, you should be able to find me. So go ahead and add me there, and then you'll know, like, or you'll see what I'm coloring for myself, or any activities I'm doing for myself that I'm not filming, and also a little more about maybe what's happening in my day-to-day life. So if you're interested in those things, go over there and follow me there. Another idea I've been kicking around that I don't know if I'm ready to do or not is doing a Facebook group for this YouTube channel. Like, would that be something you guys are interested in? I would just love a place where I could see, like, what you guys are coloring, what you guys are doing. Like, I am part of Reading with Pugs, is that what it's called? But it's not my own, I don't know, I feel like a little bit lost over there. Like Sammy, yeah, Reading with Pugs coloring. And it's a great Facebook group, but I don't know, I just feel like a little lost in there. I don't really know who many people are. And I don't know, like Sammy and Jen run it, and they do a really good job. I don't know. Maybe I should just like be a little more active in there, but I don't know. So if a Facebook page would be something you're interested for this channel, let me know that in the comments down below too. If we have enough interest, maybe I'll go ahead and do it. I don't know. Let's make a hair in here. My hair is so messy today. I have naturally wavy curly hair, but I've been straightening it every day, and so my curl pattern has kind of fallen out and it's kind of a mess at the moment. So I'm trying to like treat it a little better and let my curls come back to life a little bit. So right now it's like really frizzy and weird. I don't know. Really. Still putting this salmon on, just taking my time, building up colors. Because I'm talking through all of this and not fast forwarding through all of it, this is going to be, I might have to stop after the skin toner. That's going to be like a 2-hour video, because I have to slow, like speed everything up and edit it to make it not hours long. But since we've been talking, we might just stop when her skin is done and then come back next time for her hair and other elements. So that's okay. My room that I do my art in is like the coldest room in the house. It's on the main floor even, but it's so cold and I don't know why. I don't know. So I'm always like wrapped in a blanket in here. And this guy came by yesterday like trying to sell me new windows, and I'm like, maybe I do want a new window. And so like my husband showed up and the guy was like, he knows so-and-so in the neighborhood and I'm friends with so-and-so, and this other house that is going to be a promotional house, and we're trying to find another promotional house. Anyways, so if you like let us take before and after pictures and let us advertise in your yard for so many months or whatever, then you can get these windows at like cost or whatever. And I'm like, ugh. So I'm like, well, why don't you come by and like, we'll do an estimate and see if it's like even relatively in our price range. Because, you know, these places, they like say all this stuff and it's like, you'll get it at our cost. Well, what's your cost? Like, if it's $1,000 per window, like, or if it's, you know, oh, well, we'll do these 2 windows for $5,000. Well, that's not in my budget. You know, even if that's your cost, it's still not in my budget. So I don't know. We're going to talk to him and see what their cost is. And he did say, like, well, I'm back to the peaches and cream. He did say that we wouldn't have to do all of the windows in our house. Now, we have like 2 windows on the front of our house, like that people see from the street. One of them is the window to my art room, and the other one is in our kitchen. So I'm like, if it's in our price range, it might be worth it to do the windows at the front of our house. Like, it would look nice, they would match, my room would maybe not lose as much heat, you know, it'd be more efficient because it's so cold in here. So I don't know, I'm finding out, but you never know, you know. They're like, you'll get it at our price. Well, what's your price? You know, like, really, what does that mean? Because so I didn't make any promises, but I guess they're gonna come next Wednesday or something and give me a price check. My husband, I was like, my husband has to be home. Like, he came, he wasn't home when the guy started talking to me, but by the time, like, in the middle of the conversation, my husband kind of showed up, so I let him talk to him, and I kind of, you know, took care of the kids that were all of a sudden like screaming and causing problems because, you know, they came home and noticed that mom's talking to somebody else, so now they've got to be super loud and have all these problems, and this one's bleeding, and, you know. So I was taking care of them and my husband was talking to him. And it's funny because my husband, like, he hates solicitors. He hates people that like show up to do this kind of stuff. And I do too, you know, like, we have a sign on our door that says like, no soliciting. I've run out of places to hide the bodies. But sometimes they don't read it or don't notice it until after they've already like rang the doorbell. So I could see like my husband walking up to the door and he's like got his hackles up, you know, like he looks like a dog who's like coming up to talk to him. And so like I'm like trying to like hurry and tell my husband as much of the information that I'm interested in as possible so that he'll like kind of calm down and be like, oh, okay, this is something she really does want to look into. So now I don't need to just scare this person away. So it was so funny. I'm like, ooh, calm down a little bit, because you could just see it. It's like one of those dogs, you know, they're just like creeping up to the door like they're gonna get you, you know. I want you here. So it's so funny. I love that he's like that though, because he just won't take crap from people. Like, he'll just tell them where to stick it and be like, no, not doing it. You can take it and leave. I don't care. I'm not here to take care of your feelings, you know. Like, he's really nice. He's a nice person, but he also is a pharmacist and works in public, you know, public service, you know, like he's dealing with the public all the time, and people aren't always nice, and especially when you work in that field, people can get really mean if they don't get their C2s, you know. They're addicted to those. They want them. And it's like, it's not his problem. It's not his fault, you know, and he's not going to break the law for you. So he's just gets a little bit of a hard shell on him, but he's a really nice guy. He's really good to me. He knows I haven't felt good this weekend, and he's, you know, had to work and stuff, so he he would just tell me every day, like, the house looks good, everybody's okay, like, it's okay for you to feel like this. You know, I was on my period, which didn't help the situation. My periods are not fun. I have infertility issues that, like, make it painful, and I get ornery, and I don't feel good, and I want to curl up in a ball anyways. And then I was, like, dealing with everything that people were telling me about my grandpa, and my kids are home. Usually they're gone, and I can curl up in a ball and just, oh, leave me alone, you know, I don't feel good, but I couldn't. I had to take care of them, and he would just come home every day and be like, it's okay, do you want to go take a bath? Like, the house will keep for another day, I'll do the dishes. He's just so sweet, so nice about it, and knew I was having a hard time, and he was good. And then, like, yesterday was the first day, like, he was home yesterday, and one of my kids was going back to school, the others weren't, but one of them was, and I got up, and I, like, was ornerier than ornery, and all I wanted to do was, like, get to the treadmill and exercise, because I knew if I got there right away, I would do it. But if people kept getting in my way and I didn't get there, I was never going to do it, and I was going to be ornery all day. And so I was just trying to get there. Everybody was interrupting me, and I was just and I finally made it down the stairs, and then he comes down and asks me a million questions. I wasn't very nice, and I felt bad, but he was like, okay, and he's like, I'm going to take the kids out and go do this and that and this, and I was like, okay. And so he did, and I was able to shower and do my hair and makeup and go grocery shopping and do all my food prep yesterday. I did a ton. Like, I felt so good. Like, I accomplished so many things yesterday, and he was just like, you're awesome, you're amazing, you know, like, you do so much for us. It just makes you feel good, you know, like, people see what you're doing, because sometimes as mom and women and those little things, you know, like, you clean the house every day, but it doesn't look like you clean the house, you know? Like, I've cleaned it every day. I always say, like, cleaning the house with kids home is like brushing your teeth with Oreos in your mouth. Like, it just doesn't work. But he's always so nice. Like, the house looks so nice, and it looks good. And he just is always trying to make me feel good, and I appreciate that in him. And I do. I appreciate that. So this is looking really pretty. I'm liking the highs and lows in here. The highlights and such. I might blend some of that blue out a little further. I don't know. We'll see. Let me finish this shoulder. We might grab another, like, cream or something to put in the highlights as well. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Let's grab the Prussian blue again. I'm just gonna in just a few places. Like, I just wanted to look like shadows. It's not a big deal, and this is fun, and it's make-believe, and I mean, it's a mermaid. Who knows what color a mermaid is, right? This is that earth red to just blend it out a little bit. A little over a year ago, I did mini series on skin tones for Prismacolor pencils, and we did like fantasy colors before that, and then these were like real skin tones, and I love those videos, but I kind of want to do them again and like use different kind of pencils, not just Prismacolors. I don't know, would that be something we're interested in, or like we have those videos, we don't need them, you know? I don't know. Okay, and then that peaches and cream, I'm gonna. Okay, let me grab cream. Yeah. This is 150 cream, and I'm gonna. All right, let's see. She's not. I kind of like her though. Like that blue is a little bit intense, but like look at her all together. I kind of like it. I like this shoulder's a little funky. Back to the peaches and cream. When I'm coloring like this, I look in my monitor a lot to see like what it all looks like at a different angle. I don't know. You get a different look, how things are blending and stuff. If I'm not doing this coloring for you guys, then I'll oftentimes like take pictures and look at it on my phone to see like maybe what needs to be blended more or what's not looking right. Just an idea for you. If you're like struggling, you're like, I don't know, it just looks wrong, but I don't know what. Like try to look at it from further away or take a picture of it and you might, or even turn it upside down. That can help too. And be like, okay, this looks off. It just gives you a different perspective and it can just help. So this is that salmon pink. I'm gonna try to add a little bit of more pink to her cheeks. There we go. I like that. Felt like they were like highlighted too much. They needed more pink in there, more blushy. There we go. There, pretty, 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 pretty. Okay, I'm gonna also take this salmon pink into her lips, I think. Okay, and then the peaches and cream. Yeah, that looks nice. Alright, I think we'll leave it there today. Just do her skin tone and lips, and then next time we'll work on something else, maybe her hair and her eyes. But I hope you guys liked this video. It was more talky than I usually do, but you could kind of see the skin tone in real time, so I hope that was helpful. I hope you guys have an awesome weekend, that you do find time to relax, de-stress, take some deep breaths, and color however you want to. You only want to color half the page, cut it in half, you know? Color what you want and just let it go, you know, just enjoy yourself. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.